Our next topic is the internal rate of return, IRR. First of all, let's define the internal rate of return. So the internal rate of return is the discount rate that makes the present values of the future cash flows equals the initial cash outflow. By applying this to our example, our first year's free cash flow is $87,750. Discounted at internal rate of return, we should get the present value. Our second year's free cash flow is $95,250 and discounted at internal rate of return for 2 years, and we should get another present value. Year 3, $95,250 discounted at internal rate of return for 3 years, we get a present value. Year 4, $148,250 discounted at internal rate of return for 4 years. So all these will give us the present values of these future free cash flows. Add them up, and that should be equal to the initial cash outflow, the investment, which is $146,500. Now, with one equation, one unknown, we can calculate what this discount rate, the internal rate of return is. However, mathematically, that's too tedious to do because we have to break up the parentheses, which is also a denominator, and that's a lot of algebra. So here, I would suggest that you use the financial calculator or the Excel spreadsheet to calculate the internal rate of return. To use the financial calculator, again, we need to use the CF cash flow registry key. So press CF first, and then yellow second button, and then clear work to wipe out the memory. Now, the calculator on the screen, it should ask you what is a CFO, and that's the initial cash outflow, $146,500. And this should be a negative number because it's a cash outflow. So type in that, press positive negative sign to assign the negative sign to this value, and then press Enter key. Use the down arrow to navigate, move down to CO1, and CO1 should be 87,750, and don't forget to press Enter key to assign this value to the calculator. Now, CO1 will be 87,750. Now, press down arrow one more time, go to the frequency of 87,750. This cash flow frequency will be 1 because on the timeline there's only one of them. So type in 1 and then press Enter key. So FO1 will be 1. Now press the down arrow. The next cash flow will be 95,250. Type in that value. Don't forget to press the Enter key to assign the value to the calculator. Now our CO2 will be 95,250. Press the down arrow one more time. This will go to FO2, which is asking you the frequency of that second free cash flow, 95,250. In our example, our year 2, year 3 free cash flow are both 95,250. So by using the financial calculator, we can save a step by assigning frequency 2 to this cash flow. So type in 2 as the frequency and then press Enter. FO2 will get a value of 2. Now press down arrow key. The calculator is asking you what is the next free cash flow, CO3. So here we already account for the second year and the third year's free cash flow. So the next one will be year 4's free cash flow, 148,250. Type in that value, press Enter. CO3 will be 148,250. Press the down arrow key. The frequency of CO3 will be 1. So type in 1, press Enter. Now we're out of cash flows. So keep pressing down arrow to skip CO4, FO4, and go back to CFO, which is the values we entered at the beginning as the initial cash outflow. Now press the IRR key and then press the CPT key to compute it. Now the IRR turns out to be 55.51, which stands for 55.51%. We can also use the Excel spreadsheet to calculate IRR, and Actually, that'll be much easier than using the financial calculator. So Excel spreadsheet has a built-in function to calculate IRR. In any Excel cell, type in equal sign and then IRR, which is the built-in function in the Excel spreadsheet to calculate the internal rate of return. In the parentheses, we need to assign some values to the parameters. First of all, highlight all the free cash flows. So if in the Excel spreadsheet, you already type in all the cash flows, highlight them, and then use a comma. Now, the Excel spreadsheet will ask you to guess for internal rate of return. So it doesn't matter what your guess is. You can type in any random value as your guess. So that will give Excel spreadsheet a starting point to calculate the internal rate of return. So you can type in any value as the guess, 1 or 10 or 0.1, any value. It doesn't really matter. So once you type in that guess, close the parentheses, hit Enter key, then Excel should give you the internal rate of return fairly quickly. And that should be the same internal rate of return, 55.51%. Now, the internal rate of return IRR criteria. So how do we use the calculated internal rate of return to decide whether we should accept the project or not? So in our example, the internal rate of return is 55.51%. So that will be higher than the weighted average cost of capital, 10%. So what does that mean? Well, that means the project is going to be profitable. So if the internal rate of return is higher than the hurdle rate, then the weighted average cost of capital, we should accept the project. If the internal rate of return is lower than the hurdle rate, the weighted average cost of capital, then we should reject the project.